You know, there's a quote that I love that's been attributed to both Mark Twain and Ben Franklin. I'm not quite sure who said it first or who actually said it. But it goes like this: most men die at 27 and replace men with humans. Most humans die at 27. We just bury them at 72. You know, we're all searching for meaning in this life. I mean, you think about it, everything that we do is a grasp, is a search for meaning. From money to religion to purchases, sports, hobbies, drugs, knowledge, education, all of it is an attempt to create some meaning in our life or to find meaning in our life. And even that sentence that we throw around so often, and I find myself saying it all the time, finding meaning, means that it's like out there somewhere and we have to go search for it. And this isn't true, at least not in my experience. I'm going to speak from my experience in this video, but I've found in my life that meaning is created. And once I understood that meaning is created, then it's all up to me to create meaning in this life. I am the creator. I am the creative that gets to create the meaning. And so this video is all about a single practice that I have employed over the last couple of years that has helped me create more meaning in my life. If you're wanting to create more meaning in your life and make a difference in the world, go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell and let's do this together. What's up, my friends? My name is Chad. I'm your legacy goods curator. You see, every single dollar that we spend is a vote for the kind of world that we want to live in. And that's why I created this channel, so that we could talk about the goods, the makers, the companies, and the philosophies that will help us live a more meaningful life and create the kind of world that we want to live in. So as I mentioned in the intro, I think we're all in the pursuit of something, and I think that something is labeled meaning. And I also hear a lot of people talk about how, you know, like questioning what is the meaning of life. And I actually don't think there is a meaning to life. Yeah, you heard me right. I don't think there's a meaning to life. I think we create meaning in life. You know, my whole life up until about 5 years ago, it's all been about pursuing the things that I thought would make me happy or bring me meaning in my life. I was really focused on my gain and what I could collect over my lifetime. You see, this collection of things and experiences I thought would show that I had lived a successful life. I was continuously let down by what experiences and things I thought would bring me meaning. Through a series of events over a few years, like bankruptcy, losing every single thing that we had, me losing the faith in the religion that I was raised in, a period of time in our marriage, about 1.5 years, where things were rocky and unstable and we weren't sure it was gonna work out. Through these jarring life events, I really started to question and examine what added meaning to my life. This is when I finally started to discover the single practice that I wanted to talk to you about today. I started to develop what I call the legacy mindset. You see, when I talk about legacy, my definition for legacy is how are we setting up opportunities for future generations? What are we going to do today that allows future generations, our kids, our grandkids, more opportunities, more choices, and more freedom? The legacy mindset is literally allowing that goal of creating the most opportunity and freedom and choice for our kids and our grandkids, those who come after us, to dictate our daily decisions. How much do we consider the quality of life for future generations in the decisions that we make today? And it was this kind of thinking that has brought so much meaning to me. You see, it's a bigger purpose, and that's what I was missing. Everything up until then was all about me. What can I gain? How can I be successful? How can I experience the most? And once I changed that mindset, and mind you, it's a practice. I'm not perfect at it by any means. I wouldn't even say I'm good at it. I just understand the principle. I understand the practice. So there's 3 categories or 3 areas of life that I've been working on applying the legacy mindset. I've been practicing it in these areas, and it's been really helpful for me to break it down into these 3 areas so that I can recognize when I'm successful and when I'm not successful at practicing the legacy mindset. So the first one is in money. And that's what this channel is all about. If you've watched any of my other videos, it's all about thinking about future generations in how we purchase things. I mean, it also helps us today, and that's what's beautiful about the legacy mindset, is that yes, it's focused on the quality of life and the options and the opportunities and the freedom for future generations, but in return, like a byproduct, is that we get to live a meaningful life, like a life that's bigger than us. Just recently, we came across, probably 2 years ago, we came across a coffee, an iced coffee that we absolutely love that you can buy at the grocery store. It's called Stoke. And it's just a smooth, bold, really good iced coffee. And both Katie and I love it. The problem is that it comes in a plastic bottle. And inside the plastic bottle, there's probably only, as much coffee as we like to drink, there's probably only 3 servings inside the bottle. So within a day and a half, we have gone through a large plastic bottle. Now, we don't buy it that often. It's kind of like a treat. But just recently, I've decided to completely stop buying that coffee out of the plastic bottle, because I think the amount in which we are using single-use plastic in this world right now is going to set up our future generations for a whole lot of hurt. It restricts their future choices and opportunities, and they have to work to clean up the mess that we've created. And so that's just one small little decision that I've made, that I'm not going to buy Stoke coffee in the plastic bottles anymore. And, you know, we don't buy water bottles. There's a lot of places we've eliminated plastic, single-use plastic in our lives. And this is just another small step, a small sacrifice that I can make in my purchasing and how I spend my money. Now I'm learning how to create the best iced coffee I can at home, or cold brew, whatever it is, and it's actually fun. It's serving me, right? That's the byproduct, is that I get to think about and purchase in a way that benefits future generations, but I get a more rich experience in this life to learn these things. So the question I ask myself is, where and how can I spend my dollars that's going to set up future generations to win? The second one that I want to talk about is time. How am I investing or spending my time in the community and in future generations that's going to have the greatest impact? Another quick story, and don't get me wrong, right at the top of the story I want to say I love my kids to death. They mean the world to me. I'm so grateful that I have the kids that I have and that I have the relationship with them that I have. But as hard as it is to admit, for a large portion of my life and fatherhood up to this point, up to a couple of years ago, I used work as an excuse to limit my time with them. And it's just because it's easier. It's what I do best. It's what I love. And it's easier than the energy that I need to expend to play pretend and answer a million questions. And I think, you know, if you're really honest with yourself and you're a dad or a mom, you could probably relate to this a little bit, you know, and I did avoid those opportunities to be with them and teach them because it just felt like it was a lot of energy. But then I started to realize, and now that I think back on it, it's like, duh. But the reason that I didn't find a ton of meaning in my relationship with my kids is because I was avoiding spending time with them. You know, I was avoiding the conversations and the interactions and the questions and the learning that would allow me to find more meaning in that relationship. Also, when that relationship is meaningful and I'm intentional about it, it seems to be setting them up for a life of more opportunity and choice and freedom. Just recently, Milo, our 7-year-old, was on his very first baseball team, and I sought out opportunities, which is very different than how I would operate in the past. I would go to his games, but I would sit on the sideline and, you know, when he's not looking at me, check my phone or whatever. And this time I intentionally found ways that I could support the team, whether that was coaching first base, retrieving balls. I mean, they already had a great coach, a coach that understands baseball way better than I do. He was way more equipped to coach, so that wasn't my role, but to support and be present. And I really noticed Milo taking note of me being there and being present with him. And I think that is time that will show dividends in the future for him. Not only does that invest in him, it invests in the community, and I'm trying to find a lot more ways that I can invest in our community that we live in. And how can I be a better neighbor? How can I get to know my neighbors? How can I be more involved in the issues that our community faces? These are all questions that I'm now asking myself about time, because I think those are time investments that are going to create dividends, that are going to create benefits, options, and freedoms and opportunities for the generations to come. The third one I want to talk about is relationships, and this one I think is tied really closely to the last one, time, but I think it's slightly different, because when we talk about investing in relationships, it doesn't always take time to do so, or it doesn't take the time we make up that it takes to do so. And investing in relationships doesn't always look like going along with, appeasing, or even spending time with the person. What investing in relationships looks like is risk. How willing are we to take risks with other people that we want real relationships with? Like, if you feel like you don't have any real relationships in your life, I would venture to say possibly you're not taking enough risks in your relationship. Now, what do I mean by this? And please understand, this is my work. People hire me to be able to create better relationships in their lives, and to learn how to take risks in their relationships that will make those relationships more meaningful. Tim Ferriss famously says, and I'll probably slaughter it, this isn't exactly what he said, but he said, the success in your life can often be measured or compared to the amount of difficult conversations you're willing to have. There's vulnerability, which is me taking risk with you about the things that I don't want the world to know, or I don't want you to know. But then there's also openness. And that's me being open to you, being vulnerable with me, having the difficult conversations, saying the things that you least want to say to me. It means standing for people in who they want to become, not necessarily who they are today. I mean, definitely accepting who they are today, but standing for them and taking risks with them in who it is that they want to become in life. An example of this is Katie and I, my wife, we try to practice this as much as possible. Whenever something difficult comes up, whenever there's a disagreement or a breakdown, we're committed, and we make this commitment to each other very, very often. We're committed to having the difficult conversation, not burying it below, not pushing it down, because when we push it down, we still carry it. But once we're willing to have difficult conversations and invest in each other, then we don't have to carry that anymore. Future generations, our kids and their kids, don't have to carry that generational trauma. They don't have to carry that generational weight, because we were willing to release it through difficult conversations and working on ourselves and having a legacy mindset. So my suggestion from my perspective and my experience, my lived experience, is that if you want to live a more meaningful life, practice the legacy mindset. Invest in future generations. Be involved in something that's bigger than yourself, bigger than your collection of things and experiences, and think about those who are coming after us, and allow that to drive the decisions that you make day to day. And like I said, you won't be perfect at it. I'm not perfect at it. That's why I call it a practice. And the practice is, what can I do today that creates more opportunity and freedom for those who come after me? If you're wanting to create a more meaningful life and make a difference in the world, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and let's go on this journey together. Earlier in this video, I mentioned my bankruptcy, and I actually did a recent video where I talked about how bankruptcy drove me to a minimalistic lifestyle. You can check that out here. Remember to be kind to one another. Peace, everybody.